That's one thing. Just get a really nice, deep, thick bass that'll just get the job done. Pause. I don't know what I mean by any of that, man, but it'll just get the job done. Yo, what is going on, producer family? It's your boy Noah, and we're back with another video. I know it's been a minute since my last video dropped, but trust me, I'm gonna make this extra worth it for you guys. If you guys don't know, it's Christmas, bro, or it's coming up on Christmas in a few days. So Merry Christmas to all of you guys if you guys celebrate. If not, happy holidays. But I got an early Christmas present for you, and that is a free kit in the style of Karri and Isaiah Falls. So if you guys want to use the sounds that I show off in today's video, you guys want some extra loops, some one shots, and some more drums to add to your repertoire, I'm gonna tell you guys how you can get this kit at the end of the video, so make sure you guys stick around. But anyways, y'all see the title, y'all know why you're here. How to make dark R&B / soul, some dark soul for Isaiah Falls and Karri. Let's jump right into it. But first things first, this is my entire melody project right here. I just went ahead and I muted this because all this audio is just these instruments bounced out because it was crashing my CPU. But anyway, this is what the starter sounds like. If there's crackles, I'm sorry, it's my CPU, it can't handle it. So that's the entire starter that I was able to make. So we're going to jump right in here. We're going to go over these Rhodes chords first and foremost. So I know this looks a little crazy because there's a lot of notes. All this is just an E minor 9. So we take the E minor chord shape, which is the 2-3 spacing. So we have 1-2 spaces and then 1-2-3 spaces right here. And then we do another 2-3 spacing on top. So 2-3, 2-3, and that gives you this minor 9 chord structures. Then once we have this minor 9, because E is like the root note of the scale, we're going to take this top melody, because top notes of the chords are the ones that are heard the most, and so that is what's going to make you your melody when you're creating out your chords. So the simplest melody is this. Boom. So that's the melody. We're just throwing chords underneath it. So now we go boom, boom. Keep this chord the same. This looks like an augmented right here. This is an F sharp augmented. You can tell because you have the 3-3 spacing. And then we have some major 7ths over here that you can tell from the 3-2-3 spacing instead of the 2-3-2 that we have over here. Boom. And then this one's diminished right here because of the 2-2 spacing right here. And then this is over an F sharp. Now that's just like the nerd way of explaining it. Essentially, all we did is we just started with this melody. Boom. And then threw some chords underneath it that sounded good. Now, if you want to really lock in on that soul feel, make sure you guys do stuff like this where you have just one space, or you even have no spaces in between your notes like over here. This is what's really going to give you that soul feel, is keeping your notes close together and then also messing around with diminished chords. So diminished chords are going to be a 2-2, and you can even do it one more, a 2-2-2 spacing. But if you don't want to remember that, all of these chords are listed up here in this little circle with the lines through it, and you can get these minor 9s, minor 7ths, major 7ths, and then diminished and augmented chords are all going to be right up here. And then after we figured out these chords, all we did is just copied them over. I got rid of this F sharp at the top because I wanted the melody to be a little different the second time around, have some variation. And then I got rid of this passing chord. This just holds out for a little longer, and then that kind of gives you some tension and then resolves back up here. Now, I could tell you some crazy method on how you can, like, you know, always make chord progressions that sound good, but fact of the matter is that's really just not the case. And half the time I'm sitting here and just messing around, just trying to find stuff that sounds good one chord at a time. You just got to be patient with the process. These things take time. A lot of my loops take me like at least an hour, a lot of times even more, because I'm sitting here and I'm trying to just figure out the chords, the chords are really what take the most time. If you really want to be great, you just got to be patient with the process, and that's fine because the loop that I made at the end of this was absolutely nutty, and the beat that I made off of this loop was even crazier. So, you know, that hour that I had to invest in mess around with the chords is totally worth it. So if I was going to give you a first tip number 1 would be put your notes together, and then 1A would be like, be patient. All right, breathe, man, you're gonna get some, trust me.
Breathe, man, you're gonna get some, trust me.
But anyways, once this chord progression was figured out, the hard work is pretty much done, because we're just going to copy that down into this pad right here, which I got in Astra by Splice. They kind they have some unique shit. I just kind of mess around in there. There's some fun stuff you can find. But they had this classic R&B pad. Yeah, same thing, just on the pad, just to give it a little bit more of that R&B feel. And then finally the bass, which is from Analog Lab. And that was really not a great time to crash. 3 a.m. bass from Savant's 3 a.m. Analog Lab kit. I kind of just came up with my own melody on this. It kind of sounds like Bryson Tiller kind of bass, just because of I cut it off when the snare hit, stuff like that. So the thing about like Karri specifically, and some of Isaiah Fall's music, but mostly Karri, is that he combines elements of dark R&B with like your soul chords or your typical classic contemporary R&B styles. I think the deep sub bass is like the first step of hitting that dark R&B feel. That's because like the dark sub re-space is just so prominent in a bunch of dark R&B songs. So that's one thing. Just get a really nice, deep, thick bass that'll just get the job done. Pause. I don't know what I mean by any of that, man, but it'll just get the job done. That's pretty much what I did. That's why I always go for a bass that sounds like that. We took this, we bounced it out. After that, we exported it, threw it in to FL, just the stem version, and then I added these. So then I found this perk loop. This is what the perk loop sounds dry, no effects. I went in here, and I threw on some hyper chorus, and then EQ'd it and threw on some hyper chorus. So it's just low pass filter, and then hyper chorus, both stock plugins in FL. Gives you this feel. There you go. So then with everything else.
Sensational.
And then I threw in this vocal right here. Really, really subtle. If I play it in the background of everything else. Really subtle. It just adds a little bit of like texture. It's just like a little texture layer, just something in the background where if you're really listening, there's really something just like back there, you know. If you got headphones on, you can kind of pick up on it. I think little things like that is what kind of makes a loop that they're kind of hidden in the background, but you can still kind of hear it. It just adds a little bit more of depth to the track other than surface level. And then I threw in this little sliding synth. Just threw delay on it. It's super simple. It's the same note twice. All I wanted was just like a little something, because I felt like the pockets were empty. Like right here. I felt like that was a little empty. And I wanted a motif that would kind of set it apart. And I feel like that little like simple sliding melody is just the glue for the rest of this loop to just bring it together. So that's it for the loop. So after I put this all together, I bounced it out. And I always like to do 2 projects. It's just the way that I like to keep myself organized. Alright, so then I threw it into this other project right here where I laid down the drums. So altogether the drums are going to sound like this. Nice little bounce, a lot of space, but still really, really hard. So I started with this drum, or this kick drum right here. Super, it just smacks. I like my drums to be a lot, like really, really punchy, kind of stand out in the mix. Rim shot, super simple R&B stuff. All right, here's where the bounce gets interesting. I like reverse hats a lot. Instead of making a normal roll with like these normal hi-hats, so if I turn off these reverse hi-hats, it's literally just a 2-step pattern just broken up. To make it interesting, I took this other hi-hat reversed it and brought the length like this hi-hat is short. Even though it's reversed, it's still like the same overall length of like a normal hi-hat transients. So when I play it, it's not like off time. And I feel like it just kind of sits really nicely in the mix. Adds a little something. It doesn't really sound like just a normal hi-hat roll because of the way that it's reversed. Like the transients, the attack, and the decay are a little bit different. So it just gives it a little bit of a different feel. I highly recommend you try this trick out. The trick with getting this right, though, is making sure that you cut down the length of the... Because I think normally the length is all the way up here. I had to cut this down to this. So just getting this length perfect, so that way when that, like, the apex of the sounds, like the peak of the sound of the hi-hat, is still hitting on beat. Because if I made this, you know, if I left this length a little bit longer, it just sounds so off beat. It's just not even, it's not even funny. So yeah, get that length right. But I think that's a cool little trick. Just add in a second low reversed hat to do some rolls. We threw in this perk. I mean, nothing special. Classic little R&B perk. Only threw it in one time though, because I feel like with special things like that, little percussions or just like things that catch your ear and then you like want it to come back because you like it. Like I really like this perk, but if I kept playing it over and over, say I put it after, you know, every snare, it just started getting annoying after a second, and it loses that special touch of it just playing one time. So I have it playing one time, and then people are gonna be looking for that, being like, where's that little perk hit? Like, I want to hear that again because it's nice, it's smooth, you know, I want to hear that again. But it's just not gonna come back until the drums play over again, the next 4 bars of drums come in. So try to, you know, be a little stingy with your perks, especially if it sounds nice. You know, as much as you want to just show it off and be like, listen to this shit, it's so nice, just try to like be cool with it, you know, let it breathe, let it sit in the mix, stuff like that. And then I have this other perk. Instead of using this perk over and over, I decided I wanted to supplement with this other perk, which sounds like this. Low reverbed out, kind of block hit. And I put it, and then no perk on this one, but then the next time, perk comes in, no perk on this one. So you can see I'm kind of alternating the sections. If you think of every snare as like dividing a section up in the drum pattern, then the first section, the first block with this snare over here, this has perks in it. This second block with the snare, no perks. This block over here, perks. The second block, no perks. But what I like to do instead is I like to switch up this drum pattern. So there's that perk. Then over here, we're gonna make the kick a little busier. And I feel like that kind of wraps up like every 4 bars, every 4th snare hit. I feel like you just need to make the drums a little busier just to kind of lead in. That's like master drum programming right there. You start kind of spacey, and then as the drums progress forward along the bars, you can make them more busy. That gives it this sense of progression. And I like the way that it just leads back in. Doom, 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 doom. A lot. Boom. Back to space. And then right here, we throw in this triplet bounce, a bounce that I haven't introduced before, except the end of the 8. So that's another thing. I think that triplet bounce sounds really nice. It kind of comes out of left field, just punches you in the face. It's like the kick is hitting, the snare is hitting, everything's just kind of working in cohesion. But I'm not trying to overdo that feeling, you know? I'm not trying to just keep doing triplet bounce after triplet bounce. This is something, it only comes in every 8 bars. If you want to hear that triplet bounce again, you got to listen to the next 8 bars. You want to hear it again, you got to listen to the next 8 bars. And before you know it, the artist that you're sending this to has just listened to the whole beat. Or the person that's listening to this song just listened to the whole beat, because they're just waiting for that next little addictive moment. But you're not giving it to them, right? You're not going to give them that addictive moment because you want to save it. You want them to want to listen to it more. You're low-key just edging the listener. That's pretty much all we're doing, bro. We're just masters at edging the listener. So that's my little drum breakdown. I did this little stutter at the beginning just because I wanted the drums to just come in right at the beginning.
Nowhere, there's no way. This is you.
Chopped up my tag, made it a little smooth. That's the whole beat. That beat definitely had a lot of Slider 2 inspiration on it. If you guys haven't listened to the Slider 2 project, go ahead and check it out. Actually, fun fact, I met Karri and I listened to this album before it was even released on DSPs, and I met him, all of his homies, his producers. It was a dope ass time. I'll throw in a picture right here. I listened to a lot of the songs on this project before it even came out, and let me just tell you, bro, I got done with that session. I got done and I came home from that event and I was so inspired because of the way that he mixes it to make it sound dark and like distorted, but at the same time it's smooth because of the chord selection. So this was a huge inspiration for the making of this beat right here. I feel like I kind of got that shit down low key. So let me know what y'all think in the comments though. All right, on to the next one. All right, this is what this next loop is gonna sound like. This one has heavy inspiration from SWV or SVW on Slider 2, and I think that I was trying to go for something like that when I started this project up, as I really wanted one of that classic R&B feeling, you know, with the sliding strings and everything. So that's kind of why I added elements like this slide guitar from Splice, and then I also have this also in here, these pizzicatos. I think it gave it that like bright, I don't want to say cheerful, but it's definitely not like sad, dark, depresso, you know, classic dark R&B stuff. I think this still kind of has like that.
It's got wabi-sabi.
That fun. It's a little fun. I'm not going to lie. Like it is a little fun sounding. I threw those in here, and then I have these chords, which are super, super simple. I'll go over it real quick. I just pulled up this patch on Analog Lab. If you guys notice, all right, let's go over this real quick. 3-2, 3-2. If you guys remember from earlier, that's a minor 9. So we start off with an F minor 9, G sharp major 9. We got the 3-2, 3-2. So G sharp major 9, and then here we go, diminished chord 2, 2, 2, right up the top, boom. Diminished, boom, back down to the root, and then we go. Same thing, but I add these lower notes, change it up a little bit, right? Same chord. In essence, it's the same chord. I just wanted to change it up a little bit. Brought this note down for some more tension. Kept this the same, and then just added these lower notes down here. And then went back into that diminished. Boom. Back up. There we go. I actually took this G sharp off the top, and instead of making it start with the B and then go up 2, I counted 2 down and then or 2 spaces down and then brought this G sharp in. So it's still the same 2-2-2 diminished structure. Instead of the 2 ending up here though, the 2 ends right here. If you guys understand what I'm saying, like I know that kind of was like a lot of numbers thrown at you all at once, but 2 space 2 space 2 space ending on the F instead of a 2 space 2 space 2 space ending on the G sharp. And back to the 1, and then we pretty much just repeat that, and then over here instead of going down, we go up. Just a little. Change up the pattern just a little bit. Give it that like little swing to it. So simple as that. It's really not crazy to look at once you just kind of understand that it's just simple, you know, minor and major chords that is just coming out of. And then I added this little stab from Astra, which is just gonna sound like this. All it is it's just this minor 9 chord. The root chord for an F minor is just the F minor 9 chord, just on a different preset. And I put it in here because I feel like I needed to fill out some space with these chords. So remember what I was saying earlier? Let it breathe, you know. Don't keep it going the whole time. We'll put the chord stab here. No chord stab here. You know, we want the good things to, you don't want them to wait for the good things. Boom. Chord stab. There you go. Just following the bass notes, I added in this little bass pattern. It's a little plucked bass from Analog Lab. It's going to sound like this. That's what that sounds like. Adding in the slide guitar and the pits from earlier. Doing a little perk. I think this is Yves Robbie from his Drum Kit Volume 1, and I just filtered out the drum loop, took out the kick. Add some flanger on it too. Adding flanger to your drum loops is absolute sauce because it turns it from this to this. Just kind of adds a little bit of a weird warping texture. I know that that's super, super hard to hear. Here, I'll play without the filter. Here we go. So with, and then without. It's a little flat, a little stagnant, but you throw all those things in there, and now it's kind of got some movement to it. It's very, very, very subtle, but again, that's what I'm saying. That's what kind of makes these loops. And then vocals. Hard. So that's pretty much it for this loop. Very simple stuff. Just keeping the space live, you know, because you don't want to be filling up too much space, and just letting it breathe. All right, and then for the drums on this one, I brought it into another project, stemmed it out. Alright, so really simple stuff. Again, I took a lot of inspiration from SWV with these drums, and pretty much in the essence of it, it is just a 4. It's just not 4 on the floor, but the kick is just hitting on every 1 and the snare is hitting on every 3. So it's super simple. If I were to take out all of these accents, like here and here, it'd just be a boom, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka. But I like to add these in. Give it a little bit more motion. Turn the swing up a little bit, so that way double kicks like this just kind of have a little bit more groove to them. Then threw in this rim, and then we have this hi-hat right here. Really simple stuff. I mean, you guys can look at the pattern. I'm like the hi-hat god, kinda. Just fuck around with velocities, and that's pretty much it. Open hat, live sounding. I try to keep everything sounding super acoustic. And then this is just all extra percussion. So this is just some shakers I threw in. The hi-hats. Because I think the hi-hats are kind of boring. Even with all the other drums, like the hi-hats are really boring. Let's be real. So adding in the shaker to kind of drive a little bit more bounce. And then these layers. Throwing in some layers over the top of that rim. Kind of just like help every other hit stand out, so it's not just the same old. You got snare, and then you got rim. You got rim and snare, rim and snare. Boom, boom, boom. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna play it all with the beat. That's that. Very, very, very soulful, kind of leaning more into that classic R&B feel. Just keep things simple. A lot of space goes a long way. That's all I got to tell you guys for this one. And then last but not least, we got number 3, which if you guys thought that it couldn't get any simpler, well, it absolutely can. I took a lot of inspiration from Not a Romantic on this one, from Slider 2.
I'll be with Capo and there ain't no capping. Oh, no. We can fornicate while playing Jodeci. throw that pussy, man, and I got ownership.
I just got right to the point. You guys can see that there's only 7 elements to this. That's including melody and drums. There's only 7 elements, so that's like nothing. But we're gonna go through it regardless. I laid down these chords. All right, I started with these chords. This is actually from my Marikai Analog Lab Bank. This is the slider pad. If you guys don't know, this is based off of Late Night Slider and the Slider series by Karri. So I thought it was very fitting. Kind of dark, but still a little smooth. That kind of sounds really bland by itself. So then really where the sauce comes in is this bass. I don't know why that just adds so much to it, but it just does. And if you listen to Not a Romantic, it is the same thing. He literally has a pad and a bass that go the entire time, and that's like the extent of his melody. But I wanted to add a little bit more, kind of make it my own. So I threw in this vocal, processed it with Portal, and filtered it out a little bit. So now it's gonna be slightly like more of like a texture than an actual vocal. And then I just think it adds a little bit more texture to it. Alright, so that's that. Let's move into the drums. So here we go. This is what the drum's gonna sound like. I mean, if you guys aren't impressed by this drum pattern, then I don't know what is, because like, wow is this complex. 2-step. Hi God, kinda sounds like a grill trying to start. And then we got simple little kick pattern right here. When you're trying to make simple drum patterns, what I try to think is like, can you bang this out on the lunch table, pause, like with your friends? Even more of a pause. Wow. Sausage! All right, let me rephrase this. Like if you were at lunch, like in high school with the boys, and y'all are trying to like freestyle, but you ain't got nothing. Like, can you play this drum pattern just by pounding on the table? Just boom, 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 boom. Like tabletop drum pattern. I learned this one from Six, who's Logic's producer. And back in the day, I used to watch all of his tutorials, and he kept saying, he's like, just keep the bounce between the kick and the snare is gonna be the basis of the bounce. And can you drum it out on a table? If you can't drum it out with your hands, then it's too complex. So that's what I tried to go for here, is like, yeah, I could probably yeah, I could 100% just play that out with my hands on the table or something. And then I threw in the cowbell perk because OVO, and that little hi-hat into the ding. And then all together. That is pretty much it for today's video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the Nobu Woods video. Our Sounhive.com has been getting so much traction because you guys have been loving the video kits. One of the beats that I made for the Nobu Woods video actually got placed. My boy Boulevard Bradley, by the time that you guys are seeing this video, his new album will be out, which I produced 2 on. NIO2 by Boulevard Bradley. I produced tracks 10 and 11, the last 2 tracks, Sagittarius and D&D. Sagittarius was actually one of the beats on the Nobu Woods video. So if the proof isn't in the pudding after that like these beats do get placed, I don't know what is, bro. But make sure you guys go run it up. If you guys do listen to Sagittarius or D&D, at me on Instagram, at Noah.producedit, at Brad, at Boulevard Bradley. I really love to know that you guys love the music that we love to make. So if you guys want all the sounds in today's video, it is going to be one of the links in the description. It's as simple as that. I think it's like, I try to bury it down like 3 or more, so that way, people that find it actually earn the sounds in today's video. But yeah, go grab it. It's a free kit. Got drums, drums, one shots, loops, you know, everything you can ever dream and hope for. So I really appreciate it if you guys go check that out, and you know, just get yourself some sounds to make some more fire shit for Karri, Isaiah Falls. I need help with more ideas, bro. Let me know any more artists that you guys want to see me break down, or any artists that you want a free kit for, I guess would be another way to do it. If you like, oh, damn, I really wish I had sounds for so and so but can't find any free kits, but let me know. I'll make a video on them and give you guys a free kit for it as well. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.